Valentin Todorow from Elire here. Today, we're going to look at the AI Agent Studio new updates for the 25D release. First, we'll start with the AI Agent Studio, where you can actually see that we now have a new tile at the top called Marketplace. These are Marketplace templates that partners of Oracle have released and are available for consumption. You can easily get some more info on each one of these by clicking the little I at the bottom, understanding kind of the overall scope of the agent, the various tools that are used, prompting, and the topics that each template has available. And then you can easily create, which effectively clones it into your environment, and you're able to manipulate it or leverage it as you see fit. The AI Agents first tab also, they've kind of changed about how you clone it and a little bit of the structure. You still have the same capability to copy the template or to use the template and create suffixes. And a little region here on the right side showing kind of the latest created or latest things you have worked on and recommendations. So a little change on the main landing page of the AI Agent Studio. The next change you'll see within the 25D release of AI Agent Studio is within the agent teams. Within here, this is probably the most drastic change. When you do go to create a new agent, you now have the capability of not just a supervisor agent, which calls those worker agents below it and interacts with it based on its prompt structure. You now have sequential and workflow types of agent teams that you can build, right? Agent team being that kind of higher level abstraction layer where you call those smaller worker agents. Now with sequential, you have a more deterministic method to structure and make sure that the final output of that chat conversation is structured. It's got the proper guardrails, security, and output as needed. Workflow takes it to a whole new level. You have then more granular control over vectorizing, reading from vector databases, calling them LLMs, having conditional statements that can branch off and recombine at the end. We'll showcase these in upcoming videos as well. So those are the big changes for agent teams, and we'll go through those in later videos. The agents, not too much change within the agent workers. Tools, same thing, not huge changes. There is MCP support for tools as well coming soon. We have topics, not big changes, but you'll also see that there are two new tabs now at the bottom. Those are the new big changes. First is the capability to add credentials. As many know, that Oracle has now released the capability of additional models that they can host within the Gen AI services. You have that capability. You'll see that out of the box. With the 25D, you do have the Llama 3.3, 70 billion parameter, and GPT-5 mini. You have the capability of also adding some additional LLMs, just adding the API key as necessary and adding those models so you can leverage them. You can have different connections as well, other services. So that's the new credentials. Again, gives it more capabilities kind of around the safety for external services, kind of to make sure that when you are exposing sensitive information, you have a way to manage those keys and authentications and tokens. So credentials, a new area within 25D. And then the last, and probably one of the most important, along with the agent team workflow types, is monitoring and evaluation. So this really gives confidence to the end user of the system that this thing does actually perform as expected. You have the capability to not only monitor the performance, kind of the top 50 time elapsed or the 99 of how long these things took to run, but also to be able to evaluate these as well. And in evaluation, you can actually manage the runs. You can actually have it run so you can kind of gauge the correctness, the latency, how many tokens it used up. Be actually able to view those runs, and in two different facets. One is kind of the response of that agent itself, and also the correctness. So here we can then granularly see, based on the prompts you were giving to that agent, kind of the expected results and the actual response. So the LLM is actually going to test itself and see how close it got to what your expected answer is. Again, it's going to gauge it based on latency, tokens used, the output. And then you also have the capability, which is, again, new for 25D, to trace how that LLM was able to call its various tools, various sub-agents and workers to perform a task. Okay, so you can actually track down, this agent specifically did 2 LLM calls, and you can actually open it up and look at the JSON request and response that it was passed into it. So a lot more control and visibility into how these agents are working, which is paramount to making sure that they do output good data, so you can trace them, understand how close they were to the correctness, and then LM will also give you feedback. If it is a poor response, maybe try an alternative prompt template within the agent worker or within the orchestrator or supervisor within agent teams to make sure that it does output a good answer for you each and every time. And you can have as many of these questions and prompts, to give you confidence that when you do release this in a production Fusion environment, that it is working correctly, it does perform good and give you a nice deterministic output to the end user. Okay, those are the big changes in 25D. Hopefully you found this video useful, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.